Was that even expected? Was that even a thought that, okay, all these other things could get better?
Not at all. So, as I say, my initial aim was just to fit into my clothes again. But what I really loved about the program with you, Gurinder, is that it's very holistic. So it had it's got like the animal flow, which is kind of like a dynamic yoga type thing. So it works on flexibility and mobility. It's got the cardio, it's got the strength training, but on top of that, it's got like the nutrition strategy, and then the sleep strategy, and then breathing techniques, and all of that is just it's so powerful. How if you do everything do all of those things, but the quality of life and the confidence in your body can really increase. And so I've notoriously been kind of really bad with sleep, like for so many years. I'm a very light sleeper, especially with the traffic outside, as you can hear,
Yeah.
it doesn't help. But yeah, so I never really used to sleep that much, maybe a few hours. So even when I was working in London, like max 6 hours, sometimes four. And that's what I thought I needed at the time. So, I was able to function, or I thought I was functioning fine. And then kind of working through like sleep strategies and kind of the breathing techniques, I was sleeping for like 7, 8 hours, and I was like, oh my god, I actually slept for 7, 8 hours. This is amazing,
Yeah.
And I know that so many other people do this every night, but it wasn't something that I ever had. So yeah, definitely, like that's been a really important aspect, especially because I'm working my body so much as well in the fitness on the fitness side of things. So having that time for my body to be able to recuperate properly, it's been brilliant. So I've really enjoyed that aspect, and yeah, I didn't expect all of that to come. So and so that's kind of why I was saying that my why has changed in a way, because I know that I can do more. I know that I can improve aspects of my life more just through fitness, nutrition, properly sleeping. And I think one of the first things I tried was to switch my phone off because
Yeah.
I was, I'd wake up in the night, check my phone for a few minutes, and then, and then that would just disturb my sleep. So I started to just switch it off completely. It was amazing. I was just like, this is great.
Yeah. And what's been the impact of that then? Like, what's the direct impact of just having that better quality sleep or all the other gains that you've made?
I definitely feel like my body is able to just recuperate actually. I don't feel I feel quite energized. I feel quite rested. I suppose I never really thought about that before because I was just always on the go. So I was living life kind of 100 miles an hour, running into London, client meetings, and going out after work, and then doing it all again the next day, which I loved. I really loved. And so having lockdown has kind of slowed me down, but it's also kind of just showed me that actually it's nice to feel rested, which I never really thought about
Right.
before. Um, just yeah, I just feel a lot more relaxed. I'm generally quite self motivated anyway, but I feel even more self motivated. I feel even more kind of like high energy, just ready to do anything. Push ups on a cooker, just bring it.
Yeah. You know, it's like next it'll be like squats in the bathtub or something.
Gonna
Like
go
what?
wild,
You find that London life will do that to you, right? Like where it will bring you to where you're doing 4 hours of sleep a night, getting up in the morning, sorting yourself out for breakfast, back to work, and then you have the hustle and bustle of getting home again in the evening, unwinding,
Yeah.
checking your phone. Yeah, it definitely shows you like how much you can go at like 5%, and you can just keep like
Yeah.
limp home mode almost like in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's sustaining that is no fun.
Exactly, man. Just like Kaiser Sozeing your way through life, just limping, right? It's just dragging that leg around, and it's incredible. And the thing is, like, I think it was last week where we talked about it as well, where it's just you just don't know how good you can actually have it. That's the phrase that I always use because, like what you've described is so many of my clients over the years because of working, have worked in the city or was working in the city until
yeah,
before it
yeah,
died, basically. um, so so it's like that's everyone's kind of like life. That's the description, and everybody's a high achiever there as well. And so it's like just redlining it all the time, not realizing that if you just spent like whatever, even just 5% of your time redirecting that towards recovery and just getting a little bit more sleep, etc., the gains that you can make and how good you can actually feel. You don't even realize it. And yeah, I think you're a great example of that as well. Just like take apply a couple of strategies, make it work, and then it's like, whoa, I thought I was doing all right. I'm doing way better than that now.
Yeah, I think that's it, because you get used to what you're doing. And so I was so used to surviving, and I didn't realize I was just surviving on sleep, on 4 hours sleep, 6 hours sleep. You know,
Yeah.
I just thought, yeah, I'm fine. But it's only when you slow right down, you change it up a little bit, and then you feel the benefits, and you think, actually, it's miles different from what it was like before.
Yeah,
So
that's a really good way to put it
definitely,
as well. Yeah, really good way to put it is just like you just used to just surviving, and that's an important point because so many people do get by on less than 6 hours of sleep. People erroneously believe that they are built for getting by on less than 6 hours of sleep. So it's in the same way like 80% of drivers think they're better than the average driver. It's like, well, that's obviously wrong, right? It's like the same with most people. It's like most people who get by on less than 6 hours sleep think they're fine. They're the ones with that gene type that allows them to get by on less than 6 hours of sleep. It's like, no, actually, it's probably, I can't remember, but it's less than 95%. It's more than 95% of people who can get by on that. It's like, if you're thinking, oh yeah, I've slept for less than 6 hours my whole life, I'm the kind of person who does that, like who can do that. You're like, actually, no, you're probably wrong about that. And so let's try and fix up. There's like very few people who can genuinely get by on less than that because of their genetic makeup. But so it's important to note that anybody who's listening and thinks that they are doing fine with less than 6 hours of sleep a night, I think you need to reevaluate that and start putting in some strategies to get at least first off starting with better quality. So even if it means you can't change the amount, it's like you got to start with better quality of sleep, and putting in the practices that allow you to get better quality of sleep, and then work on incrementally building up the amount of sleep that you get as well. Because yeah, you just otherwise you're just operating at, as Umar says, you're just limping around.
That's really interesting. I think it's like sometimes you got to look at by I don't know how to phrase this really, but by what measure are you qualifying that you are okay on 6 hours of sleep? You know what I mean? It's like if you
yeah,
place your ceiling here, and then but here is really I survive, like you said, Raminder, and I get home and I'm like, I'm okay, but I don't really want to have a conversation on the phone anymore. I don't really want to ring anybody up. I want to just sit on my sofa and just kind of like contemplate life for a minute. And then I'm going to drag myself to the bathroom. I'm going to sort myself out, and then I'm going to put my PJs on. I'm going to get in bed and kind of start again. It's like that's not a life I want to live. You know what I mean? That's not a life that I want to thrive in. I want to kind of move forward and actually be all that I can really be. Um, and I think that that's people's perception of where they are. My sister's a great example of this, where she works ultra hard. She works in the NHS, and she's up to her back teeth right now in work constantly, she's got a mad work ethic, but at the same time, she's somebody who's let her health kind of deteriorate along the way, and this I feel like this podcast can be really really good for her to listen to because you're a very similar example to her, right? You've worked super hard and you've seen that your health can kind of potentially take a backseat to your job, to your profession, to the things that to the pressures you're placing on yourself. But then as soon as
yeah,
you open your mindset, like you said, that staying open minded to other things, to kind of training programs, and then by extension, you have all these secondary wins that are like, oh, my sleep's better, now my mood's better, now my clothes fit better, now I can do cooker push-ups, and it's like this is great.
exactly. That's exactly it. And I think part of what was happening was I was just running on adrenaline. And so, like, I loved the kind of the hustle bustle. I loved the work hard, play hard, whatever it was. But then, yeah, it's only when you slow down then you kind of realize. And now I kind of think, actually, if I did this, I don't know, a few years ago, it would have been much better quality interactions, meetings at work, quality of work, perhaps. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so it's definitely something that people should think about a bit more. And I think now that it's lockdown, life is just slowed right down in so many cases. So now is probably the best time to do it. I mean, not for your sister; it's probably even busier for her. And like she's doing an amazing job working, especially in this climate as well, in the environment that she's in. So if you can kind of think about your sleep strategies, do it definitely.
It's always the best time. The best time. What's that
Always
line? The
true.
the best time was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
True. Very true. That is true.